Hey guys, Boy here, and this is things I've learned with Secret.Midone's Windranger in 7.15. As you guys know, I'm grinding casts every single day, so if you want to see some random tournaments in the afternoon, or if you want to see me casting, RTZ, or some pub players, please make sure to follow me on Twitch. That being said, let's start. For starters, hey, I'm a big fan of Mid1 warding the mid lane like this. While you do lose some ward duration, it's very easy for any top tier player to click on you while you're both blocking the mid lane, which makes his dewarding job way too easy. That ward can also spot as support warding afterwards, so that's pretty cool. You could even use Windranger to get it even faster, and while that's the skill most Windrangers get at level 1, it's always nice to hold on to it if you can. Maybe if you're not a Windranger player, you might be asking yourself why Windrun is the most common skill at level 1, when you can get CS with power shot and even harass the mid laner. This is a perfect showing of why. This creep will clearly not die with one hit, but if mid 1 goes for one attack, SF will definitely get the deny. You could use the power shot to get the CS, but that costs 90 mana, and it's very unlikely that Shadow Fiend will align for the damage. You will still be taking damage from all those creeps, by the way. While if you use Windrun here, you can repel the Shadow Fiend without taking damage from the creeps while also securing the CS when he gets away. What mid 1 usually tries to do with power shots is secure the range creeps. In this case, Shadow Fiend was playing quite aggressively, but he dodges the power shot, so you can see how easy it is. The way mid 1 uses the courier is very different from most average players. He already brought these tangles, and you're going to see how addicted to hemp this guy is. Shadow Fiend is quite the annoying matchup. It's very easy to get hit by raises while you're getting close to get denies. So he starts with the regen, but he doesn't stop here. Keep watching. Again, he uses power shot to get a range creep, but note what's in the courier. 3 extra tangles, no talisman components. He has the slots for it, so it makes no sense to keep on waiting until you have the completed item. This is the reason a mid player should have courier priority. Those small edges in the lane could be the difference maker in a matchup like this. Another thing to note is that as long as a projectile doesn't hit you, you can cast Windrun. So more often than not, if Shadow Fiend tried to boop mid 1, he would dodge the attack with Windrun and then try to boop the enemy twice to actually make him pay for it. This is the third time he's using courier in 2 minutes and 52 seconds. Let that sink in, supported by boots on the courier when you're freaking on the side of the sideshow. But anyways, this is a matchup that requires constant usage of the courier. He gets even more tangles, he commits himself, and now he finishes his new talisman as well. Eventually, Earthshaker tries to get a Fisher block onto mid 1, but what happens is that with Dark Willow there, they turn on him. As mid 1 chases, pay attention how he uses the power shot. The channel time on the skill is linear, which means that if you charge it for too little, you will deal pretty much 0 damage, but you don't need to charge it for the max duration if you know that the enemy will die. In this skill though, he knows that Shaker can dodge, so pay attention how he charges like 70% of the skill, knowing that it would be enough. Shaker ends up dodging anyways, but remember that if someone is low enough, you can always charge less and get the results that you want. Another good way to get nice power shots going is waiting for the nighttime. As mid 1 disengages, he notices the Shadow Fiend used the clarity, so look how he waits until the hero commits to a position to get CS, allowing him to cancel the clarity. Thanks to the constant courier usage and regen bot, mid 1 is ahead of Shadow Fiend in levels, which is very rare. Obviously the draw aura helps, but the biggest game changer to me is that he never went back to base or had to wait regen after he took harass. By just getting a lot of it, he's always playing aggressive, and it definitely pay off. The way mid 1 plays is clear. He understands that Shadow Fiend at this stage will always out damage him, so instead of trying to compete for CS, he's always harassing him when Shadow Fiend really wants something like this range creep. Look how much he accomplishes while also denying the gold for raid. There's a lot of fighting in the laning phase, but what I want to mention is that if you want to start playing mid Windranger, she's probably one of the easiest heroes to learn. In terms of item builds, the hero is very simple, having almost a set in stone recipe on how to build her. The usual style is getting the double no talisman into face boots, maelstrom and blink into eggs, and then it kinda gets open-ended. Sometimes if you're against something like a clockwork, force staff might be necessary, but overall you'll be fine. Unfortunately, that's not the case. This is probably one of the most weird Windranger games that I've ever seen, but something that happens every game is that you want to get your level 10. The mana regen talent is insane in an intelligence hero like Windranger, and it allows you to farm and push waves like crazy. The excessive amount of tangles early on might seem like too much, but if you pay attention to the item build I've talked about, you might notice that none of those items give HP regen. So the tangles will definitely help in Windranger becoming self-sustaining and not having to go back to base. Especially now that you don't have bounty runs every 2 minutes, which was usually pretty good for Windranger since she had a lot of points in Windrun and could get a lot of bounties. Eventually, a dive starts bottom, and I'm a big fan of how mid 1 reacts to this. If he TPs there, it's very likely that Radiant will get dissuaded in diving more. Also, if he TPs, he will be on vision, so Radiant will probably know about it. What he does is just walk up to the fight after he shoved the lane, which means there is nothing big for him to do anyways. Note how since this is level 2 Windrun, he doesn't commit it to get there, in fear that he ends up right-clicked to death by the PA maybe. He tries to keep the camera onto the PA, waiting for a good power shot opportunity, but the fight was way too crazy. He makes sure not to use Wind Run until he starts being attacked, and at the end of the day, not only he gets 2 kills, but he's ready to address mid pushing. After all, he's against a Shadow Fiend, and that's very important to do. Pay attention how mid one plays after that. Instead of pushing the lane and trying to compete with Shadow Fiend farming the jungle, he just keeps on pressuring the tower. Windranger is not an awful jungler, but you'll never have as much farm as a Shadow Fiend. And if you try to compete with him, you will actually allow him to jungle way better just because he won't be pressured to go to the lane. By pressuring the tower, Shadow Fiend has to commit mana in the creep wave very often and stay there, hindering his farm while you're actually getting tower damage and getting closer and closer to your level 10. Since he has all the tango region, he doesn't even bother using Wind Run when he boops the tower here and just keeps on being super annoying. With javelins being broken, it's always a better idea to get that item instead of the Mithril Hammer first, especially because it gives you the flexibility to go MKB if you decided to change your item build, and that's exactly what happens here. But we'll talk more about that later. At this stage, since mid 1 already has the mana regen talent, look how he plays here. After shrining, he goes back to top, Black Hole was just used, but he doesn't commit Wind Run straight away. Only after seeing the Shadow Shaman going bottom and Enigma being left to the left side, he goes for it. They get mega juked, but mid 1 doesn't stop looking for it. He also commits the power shot from the fog, so he doesn't get dodged by the Enigma. And when he sees that the enemy is running towards a completely different side of the other enemy, he just commits 100%, getting the kill. Even with the javelin in the backpack, you can see how strong Draw plus Windranger is, and the Enigma just melts. The reason he never had to go back to base and only shrine once is all those tangles that we talked about, even though he has no bot. He finally backpacks the last joint, and let's keep watching. Eventually, Radiant commits to a top push, and mid 1 feels forced to defense. It's important to know that Stifling Dagger deals damage to you even if you're under Wind Run, so he doesn't bother doing anything here. Another important thing to note is that the Helm of the Dominator creep is worth 200 gold now, so ulting this bad boy might seem retarded, but is actually awesome to his bank account. Remember what I said about Windranger being very stiff when it comes to item builds? This game showcases one of the different paths. Since he's against the PA, he decided to use the Javelin to get the MKB, while the Maelstrom procs cannot be dodged anymore. PA went for a very early BKB, so the MKB is definitely necessary, and since he was thinking so hard about which item to get, this ends up happening. Windranger is quite the weird hero in the sense that power shot is very hard to land in the mid game, so note how not only mid 1 waits for a Shadow Fiend to get stunned, he even commits the Shackle shot before going for the power shot. Also, since PA is dead, he doesn't feel afraid in Wind Running to get closer to the Shadow Shaman, and that's the MKB being finished. Mid 1 uses Wind Run to move faster on the map only when he has vision of other heroes or know where PA is. If people are missing, he'll never commit it until he has the invisible talent. A fight starts mid and he gets PA, but he needs to be careful since Black Hole is ready. This is a great opportunity for them to roach, and look how liberal he is with Wind Run now that PA is dead. The mana regen talent allows you to be free to cast all your spells at all times, and if you're paying attention, you will see that he's going Linken's. The problem this game is the Shadow Fiend use Scepter as well. While Wind Run in a lot of games makes you invincible, the Shadow Fiend not only dispels the Wind Run, but can just one-shot you if he gets enough levels. If he gets a blink now, the counter initiation will be 100% of the times feature your Black Hole or use Scepter into the combo, and then he'll be dead. As mid 1 farms his first jungle camps this game, note how he pings the rune spot. It's getting close to 20 minutes, and getting those bounties is insanely important. Since Radiant commits for the tier 2 top, mid 1 ults the tier 2 bot, but he's very careful, standing behind these trees while also power shotting the area, looking for someone hiding. Overall, this game is very weird in the sense that mid 1 second guessed himself a fair couple of times. While he gets the Perseverance, he ends up going BKB, that I guess in a way does the job even better than Linken since there's so many ways to cancel the Linkens. The BKB usage gets used as soon as he finishes the item, the entirety of Radiant engages bottom, and mid 1 TP is there. Look at his positioning, he's at the far right, making it super awkward for Radiant to jump him while he can spam power shot. But Shadow Shaman was actually hiding in a perfect spot and goes on him, and in these cases BKB is not the best item. The BKB was definitely not the key part of this engagement, but it does allow him to stand his ground with the MKB on the PA, and while she blink strikes away, note how mid 1 clicks the PA, seeing the BKB duration ending, and gets a beautiful power shot finishing her off. Later on, the E's Requiem is used, but since Shadow Fiend is level 17, Mid-1 survives, and with a clutch Shackle, he can finally disengage. As Mid-1 finishes his item, Roshan gets attempted by Radiant once more, and I really want you to pay attention to how it unfolds. As the Frog Willow ults the pit, there's no Enigma showing, right? Well, Roshan is weak. Jumping there with his teammates is not a great idea because they'll definitely get Black Hole. So what Mid-1 tries to do is get the scrapes in this high ground area. They end up trading nicely. The Shadow Shaman gets the Aegis at the end of the day, so that's pretty good. And since Mid-1 took this different route, look how having vision of everyone else and knowing that there's no wards where he is, he cuts the wave that Radiant wants to use to get the objectives. He instantly TPs back, and a huge fight unfolds once more. The Linken's proves its value straight away, and they get a great fight going. Since Mid-1 didn't get Blink Dagger and actually wants to go for Nullifier, it's pretty interesting to see how he used the Invis talent to push lanes without being seen and putting himself in danger. This hero is a glass cannon, and you have to play accordingly. The game gets insanely grim after 2 of Mid-1 allies get picked off, and later, Mid-1 dies without buyback or popping his cheese thanks to a beautiful and calculated crit. The only reason they don't lose the game is the tier 2 bottom, and it gets even worse because Radiant gets another Aegis. But pay attention how crisply Mid-1 plays. He engages with Windranger, and since PA engages like that, he can easily Shackle Shot and kill her. It's worth noting how he saves the Nullifier for the end in case she pops the BKB. He gets out and hides in the surroundings, ultimately repelling Radiant. I'm a big fan of the cooldown reduction talent in this game. Not only he has less downtime invisible, the BKB and ult are more spammable during these clutch fights. Radiant decided to fully engage, and we can see a fairly uncommon interaction going here. Against so many Aeon Discs, the Nullifier is a great way to dispel the effect, allowing Mid-1 to shred the Shadow Shaman. But keep watching, you will clearly see how the talent was the right choice. Thanks to the lower cooldown, Mid-1 can chase PA here. And while it seems grim at first, with Pango dying, note how thanks to those sentries, Mid-1 can hide while the Enigma engages. He instantly cancels the Black Hole, and not only that, he can Windrun again, disengaging. PA's BKB is over, and that's 1 kill followed by a beautiful double Shackle. After that, a fight starts mid, and this is a great time to fight since there's still dead heroes on Radiant, but unfortunately, Mid-1 finds no one, hehe. I really like that Mid-1 gets the point booster but doesn't complete the X straight away. In case he feels like Radiant is going for an all-in fight, he can decide to finish the item or bank on his buyback, but considering how far behind they are, committing for it right now is just not a great idea. Eventually he gets it, but with gold for buyback, but before that happens, he finds this double damage rune, and we start seeing the potential of the cooldown reduction and Windrun in the late game. Even though he has no Blink Dagger, he's fairly decent at initiating on people that are by themselves, and he's almost unkillable and untraceable just because of how almost permanent invisible he is. Thanks to his beautiful team and Mid-1 being positioned in the craziest spots, he spots PA here, and that's just a free kill. Thanks to his eggs, he can kill Enigma even with BKB Black Hole, and Dire eventually just wins them the game. Well guys, this game is insanely long, and I mean, I'm casting every day as I said, so I actually didn't have time to analyze the entire game. So if you want to keep watching with some crispy music, make sure to tune in. If you want to know what's going on with my life, follow me on Twitter. If you want to watch those crispy casts that I talked about or me playing, follow me on Twitch. If you want to have some spoilers of my life or what's going on, Instagram is the way to go. And if you want to talk with people that care about Dota and your crispy boy, join our Discord channel. There's a lot of cool people there. Thanks for watching. It was a pleasure. Bye.
Haste! Radiant structures are fortified. Radiant's top tower is under attack. Radiant's top tower has fallen. Radiant's middle tower has fallen. Radiant's top tower is under attack. Radiant's top tower has fallen. Radiant's middle barracks have fallen. Double damage!
I could look at you all day.
Unstoppable! Aw, better luck next life.
This time we're gonna get funky. Funky.
Radiant's top barracks are under attack. Radiant's top barracks are under attack.
Amazing what you find there. Precious bounty.
Visibility! middle tower has fallen.
Holy shit! Ultra kill!